So unless you've got a contract with me, the woman from England, and if you state England does not exist again, I will now arrest you under Section 24A of the Police and Crimes and Evidence Act. And here you are, bollocks to you, I'm issuing you a notice. Now, here you go, pre-action protocols, walk across, touch the bar, touch the bench in front of him. Because that now puts you in, and they won't tell you this, but that now puts you in the bench under common law.
So that's why you're not allowed to approach the bench without permission?
Correct, because it's not a bench. You're not allowed to produce the bar. Because as soon as you touch it in your sovereign standard, it brings them back into your jurisdiction, which is common law. There's nothing they can do about it. That's why they stand up and shoo them out. Right? So you now issue against the so-called county court judge. You either prove this or here you go. You're served. You are now served a criminal notice of pre-action protocols. I am now, in this moment in time, charging you with misconduct in public office. Because you're not in public office. You're running this court from multiple jurisdictions outside of the rule of law and violating my constitutional rights as to Lord Kilmore's letter. It is all in there. So is the order of precedence, where you now claim that UK statutes overrule my constitutional rights. There's the case law of metric martyrs from 2002 that states the hierarchy of laws. And he states it does the three justices, Justice Bingham, Scott and Stein. Common law and the Bill of Rights can never be repealed, ever. So they're not trying to repeal them, they're just trying to literally do away with them. You cannot claim those rights because you're British. You're not British. You know yourself, one of the lies went in and said, oh, I'm in the realm of England. He went, don't start that nonsense.
Yeah.
That's when you hit him with, who the fuck do you think you are? This is the realm of England, you parasite. I am now serving you with pre-action protocol. I'm charging you with treason. Do you understand these charges that I have now laid forward to you, parasite?
The trouble is, and I keep, I'm going to keep saying that phrase, we can charge them and we can say all of these amazing words, but we've got nowhere to...
They will run out. Once you've done that, you know as well as I do, when you charge your previous judge with a criminal action, what did they do? They adjourned the case straight away because they can't go anywhere. He's now got to go ask for advice. He's now got to go up the chain. He's now got to go, holy shit, she's charged us with a criminal act. Because a criminal act comes under common law. And now you've invoked your constitutional rights. That's what they're frightened of. Once you bring in the Constitution, your amiable rights, are you trying to subvert my amiable rights under common law? Because what have they already stated within that order of precedence? They're still there, but they've defunct them. They've brought them down under UK statutory law, EU law, which is an act of treason. So you can now prove that he's in criminal act of treason. They run for it.
They might run for it, right? But it doesn't end there, does it? Because if you think of...
No, what you've got to do then is back up your gunpowder. You've got to demand from the CPS that you want the misconduct in public office form, and you're now attaching the Treason Act to that form. Because the judge is called public outrage. He is now not running from his public duty, he's running from a corporate duty. Therefore, he is taking public monies in deception, betrayal, to extort monies from you. Now, what's the crime that of? It's called uttering. It's high treason in common law.
So you said
It's
you, sorry.
Look, you said it when you first came on. You've got to have the balls of King Kong. Well, yeah, you have.
Yeah.
Right? They run. Because once you start issuing that Treason Act, they're all still involved. Are you aware that this is still involved? I could send you a document, 2 minutes, where it's come from 2022, November the 4th, I believe it is, from the Cabinet Office, confirming that the Coronation Oath Act is still valid. The Treason Act 1351 is still valid. And your constitutional rights under the Magna Charta of 1869 are still valid. And the Declaration of Rights are still valid. From 2 years ago. Right, Judge, you are now charged with the 1351 Treason Act by subverting my constitutional rights. You are also charged with the Felony Treason Act 1848 by subverting my constitutional rights. We're out of Europe. You lied to us to get us into Europe, and you stand us under a contract that doesn't exist, under the presumption of obligation by compelled performance. You don't compel me to do anything. I stand above you as to my constitutional, common law, amiable rights and maxims of law. Have you forgotten what law is, sir? Because I now charge you with treason. And you take a small document in, that's all it needs to be. Here's what I will rely upon in a constitutional monarchy court. Bang, you're served. This case has now collapsed. Counsel, you have now been served by you believing that you can create your own courts, avail my rights, and violate my constitutional rights. You're served with the act of treason and misconduct in public office. Because it's not in public office anymore.
So what, I go back to really what I was saying. Yes, you can get the judge to run away and all the rest of it. But in most cases, depending on what the severity of whatever the case was, there will still be stuff going on between the court and the corporation or the so-called public body that's trying to screw you over. And it doesn't stop there.
No, well, the point is, what everybody does, and this is what boils my absolute
piss.
Everything. Okay. It boils me off the clock. And you know this for a fact, Mel. I've helped so many people win and get a stay of execution on mortgages, on this, on that, on the other. Right? Council tax. What does everybody do? Oh, right. Yeah, we'll start that next week. They never follow through. So after a certain period of time, what happens? They come back and have another bite at you. You've lost your momentum. So you now issue a bill for £1 million for subverting your constitutional rights to the council. Issue it to the judge because that's what his bond should be at a maximum of. And charge him for each individual treasonous act. You've got 5. I've just given you 5 there. But you don't just do it. All your club does it. You phone me and say, right, well, your guys back us, we'll back you. You ring Leicester, you ring Coventry, you ring all round the bleeding country. So it's not just one person now. It's 1,000 people. Charging the judge with treason. Charging the court staff with treason and shutting the court. Because what does it, once you read that, what is it? Once that is issued, they are suspended immediately. Hello?
Yeah. I'm taking it all in.
They're suspended. That means they cannot continue with the case. The council can no longer bring the claim or case. So they're all suspended. People forget to go in with case law from this year. Portsmouth 3 years ago won 1.1 million for illegal actions of council tax. 1,800 people got 1.1 million back. Why don't we use that?
Yeah.
Don't say yes to me. I use it. It's you dumbasses, lazy basket cases that don't.
It's
You
not.
go in there and go.
Well, there is an element of that, but there's also
Instead of going in and go, whoa, 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 whoa. Right, I've caught you. Here you are. I'm charging you with misconduct in public office because you're not in public office, you fucking reprobate. You work for the government. You're a non-ministerial department of the government. Therefore, you are not independent as to the Separation of Powers Act. You have no longer been restrained by the Coronation Oaths Act. That's a fucking treason act. Here's 5 more. Here we go. I now demand the misconduct in public office. And I'm charging you with misconduct in public office because you're not in fucking public office. You're working for the corporation. Because you have stated in this court there is no realm of England. There is no English. Well, I'm fucking English. I'm the sovereignty. And you don't believe me? Here's the document from Lord Kilmore. Chief Chancellor, 1960, to Edward E., to the Queen, that states the sovereignty is mine, not yours, and you are running from delegated powers. What's it say there? And highlight it. No powers can be delegated. So where the fuck do you completely say that you conduct your authority from? Because it's not we the people. It is not from the sovereignty of us. Therefore, you are in the act of treason. By treachery, deception, extortion. Here's the Aylesbury's law book that you refuse to acknowledge. And you are running from this bullshit. The order of precedence, which is void. And here's why it's void. Bill of Rights, constitutional rights, case law. Just give you the exit stage. Off the hamster wheel and back into sovereignty. Here you go, liege lord. I did not state this oath. I am not under obedience to you. I am not under contract to your government of the Great Britain's UK corporation bullshit. I am also under contract. First in time is first in right to my Magna Charta rights and to the Bill of Rights. I am under my own social contract to my rights. I do no harm. I do no fucking this, that, and that. You know your common law rights. Don't need to teach you how to suck eggs, Mel.
Yeah.
That is my contract. Any other contract that you presume by putting me under a presumption of obligation of propelled performance can go fuck itself unless you've got my signature on that document. Because the police are under maritime. You know the blue and yellow check on their cars? It's maritime. It's flags. Stop immediately. We need to communicate with you. So they're under maritime law. What are they? They're registered as corporations. So now they're stood under 2 jurisdictions. Breach of your constitutional rights because they're no longer public servants. They're a standing army. They are now the new territorial army. Why do you think no crime ever gets solved? But as soon as you kick off, there's 2 of you kicking off at a police station or whatever, all of a sudden there's 50 coppers there.
Yeah.
And they're tasering you. What? Who gives them the right? They're supposed to work for us. And this is what they're frightened of. That we realise who they are and who we are. And the fact they're in 5 different types of treason. And if we reinstate the treason acts that they've removed, which is our right to, they're screwed. because they can't remove them while they're in the act of treason. Tony Blair removed the Crown Agents Act. The Crown Agents signed every constable up under the Coronation Oath Act, under the oath of 1868, the judges, so that they stood under constitutional common law and gave you and protected your rights. He dissolved them with Tony Blair, 1997. Where did he put all the judges, the police officers, the Crown agents? The Companies Act, 1985. It's there on bleeding website, for Christ's sake. So he turned them all corporate, 1997. John Major before him stopped it, 1995. Tony Blair dissolved it. He then subverted our constitutional rights because they were getting away with it. They then put in a standard army, the new TA, called it the police force, no longer constables. They claim they work for the king, as I've just demonstrated. Even the Privy Council didn't call him king. They called him a liege lord. I sent you a document over earlier today that's 244 pages long.
Yeah, I was going to ask
We're
you.
trolling through in it. Some people have already read it. I'm trying to get the bit that's most appropriate. And that is and that's been declassified from top secret. Because it stated that once the Queen signed that document to go into the EEC, she would be surrendered to and reduced to a standard person. This is why they came up with the head of state. This is why he's called the head of state. This is why he cannot wear the money on the foreign bank script.
I know.
Sorry, Mel, have I blown your mind a bit, love?
Yeah, I was about to say, I know there's going to be a lot of brains blown, and especially if it's sort of the first time you might be hearing this kind of approach. And it does take an awful lot to get your head round, and I'm nowhere near it. But he's done a lot of studying over the last few years to get to his level of knowledge.
You mean two? I only started 2 years ago. Don't be making me out to be some kind of martyr. I started 2 years ago, Mel.
I wasn't making you out to be a martyr. Okay, so it was 2 years ago. But you've sort of you've gone all in though, haven't you? In terms of hours and hours and days and months, weeks, and a lot more dedication than most people would. To get to the level of understanding that you've got to today. And there's been trial and error along the way. And obviously dealing with people like me, trying this, trying that, trying the other. What isn't working, what is working. So if somebody's listening is like, well, that all sounds fucking brilliant. Because what I will say, and I've mentioned your name a couple of times now, I need to edit it out. Robin. What I will say is, if somebody wanted to work with you, you are very good. You are very motivational. You are like my partner Mick, who you know very well. He's always riled up when it comes off the phone from you, and I am as well to a point. But I'm also like brain blown because I'm like, oh shit, this is like loads of other things to think about and all that sort of stuff, especially when you're in the thick of it. And there's like different, everyone's got their own slant on what to try. And it's all different. And then people like me are going, oh, does that resonate? Or does that resonate? Or I don't feel like I can do that and all the rest of it. So I think your method is for the ballsier of the people that are listening to us right now.
Look, you know full well your case, and because of something I wrote, it stopped the judge in his tracks in repossessing everything you have, right? And putting whatever they wanted against you. And it stopped him dead in his tracks. It's not about being ballsy. It's about knowing who you are. Now, I come across as very flamboyant on this, and it's a show to get people revved up, and I speak a certain way. But when I go in court, I speak a different way. So, yes, I mean, look, people know I've gone off at the judge and called them a bunch of cunts, right? I don't care. I know exactly where they are. And I've called them fucking perverts and everything, right? You know I have, Mel, right? When they get up and go, what's up? Have you got a kid cooking in there? Their fucking faces drop through the floor, right? I have no fear of them whatsoever. None. But that's me, right? This is why I keep getting tasered to death, right? And okay, I keep getting banged up for 9 hours. Get your head down, start laughing at their, what is it, act. And I give the coppers so much shit. And I then go into the interview room. They send one dickhead copper in with me that's so young, he looks like he's 12. And he's terrified within the first 3 minutes. And I'm released an hour later. Yeah. I've got so many against me at the minute, and I mean literally I am on, I think, 4 different types of bail with not one charge laid against me. Not one. Because I don't say anything. The one thing that you've got to do when you go in there is you've got to get your mind right. Are you aware you have subverted my constitutional rights, and that is treason? As to the Treason Act, Felony Treason Act. So I now charge your Chief Constable and every police officer in this district and county with 4 acts of treason. Just take it in with you. I now charge you in your personal and private capacity with treason against me. Because you are a public servant, yes? And he won't answer it. Well, you're either a public servant or you're not. So you're now confirming you're not a public servant. So I'm charging you with kidnapping, terrorism under the Terrorism Act 2006, Section 2, Terrorism Act Section 2 and 3, 2015, kidnapping with torture, illegal detention. I will be sending you an invoice. I want your name and number on this tape. You watch them squirm under that table. They can't get out of that room fast enough. You can ask as many questions as you want. You will get the same answer. No, piss off. I don't answer questions to servants. I'm charging you with misconduct in public office. You watch them fucking run, because they're running under the I think it's 2015 PACE Act. It's an entrapment document. They have no jurisdiction.
Yeah. I suppose my point is we're not all big and ballsy like you, and it does take a certain individual to do that. And I certainly wouldn't want to be banged up for 9 hours and all the rest of it. So to try and encourage people to look at your, this teaching that you're giving us all and this content that you're discovering and sharing, what would you suggest people do if they want, if they don't have to?
Right. The thing with me is, right, and the thing that everybody's realising. Now, I know you're part of a group, and I don't want to mention it, and there's a few more out there that are part of the same group. And you're all finding you're getting on the hamster wheel and can't get off. Right? My way not only gets you off, but it kicks their ass. And yes, we've had a few bits and bobs. But we ask, are you breaching your own rules? Because under the data protection rule of 1998, Section 10, subsection 2, you can't have my data. So who's giving you my data? You're a private corporation. Now remove all my data. They don't like it. So you've got to fight. We don't fight these just on one angle anymore. You can't, right? You've got UCCs. So everything I write now is all UCCs, reversion of my rights, da-da-da-da-da. You use, but you've not used it with the UCC under your bill of exchange. Now use it with UCC. They've got to accept it. They cannot.
And this is a correction of your status and standing, is that right?
Yes, and it's basically all you need to do is send it to that him and say you're no longer the King of England. You're the head of the UK corporation. These are your details. You are also incorporated. There's your incorporation certificate. So therefore, you no longer are able to hold my sovereignty, and you are no longer chief trustee. Because that's what the Bill of Rights states it is, or the monarch is. They are the chief trustees that hold our sovereignty. So if he's no longer king, he can't hold our sovereignty, so we can claim it back. We don't need to go into melodramatics about it. Do not serve you. I've not stated this. Do not state that. And unless you've got a contract, you have 7 days to rebut this letter. End of. Right? You've 7 days. Failure to rebut this letter, this will stand as truth and fact. When you take that into court with you also take in, and you must start taking in, and it only has to be a very quick, simple pre-action protocols. We're charging you with misconduct in public office because you're not in public office anymore. You now have to prove to us, as it's writing in law, that you are in public office. You are in public service. As to the book, as to the English law. We're not interested in your UK statutory common law, constitution, corporate law. I'm not corporate. I am the man of substance. Legal fictions, and this is when you bring in the maxims of law. Do you understand maxims of law? And get them to understand that you know what you're talking about. Do you understand? And ask them, do you understand maxims of law? Do you understand and appreciate the hierarchy of these maxims of law? Yeah. They can't answer you. No. They cannot answer you. That collapses their case. Go in with a few just go in with a few maxims of law, the right ones.
Okay.
And the right questions. Look what happened to Martin. He went in. He's still in his house 3 years later, 2.5 years later. Do not consent, do not consent, do not consent. I now appoint you, trustee. I am the sole executor, sole beneficiary. As to my trust, you will now, as trustee, ensure this debt is correct. There's a WhatsApp, there's a lot of videos about it. And we put the judge as trustee. He had to settle his mortgage. They don't, but they couldn't go anywhere. And it puts them into stalemate. So now we've learned a bit more. So now you ask the judge, and the judge is nothing. They're only they're absolutely nothing till you contract with them. It's the clerk of the court, and once she says she's the legal advisor, she's just caught herself in the subversion of your constitutional common law rights, because you're in the wrong court. There have to be a clerk of court, and they use your QSIP numbers, which is either CU or CISIP, and they literally work out how much this case is going to cost, what they want to take out of your trust, and they take it out. So you now demand your numbers as sole chief executive, sole and singular executor, and sole and singular beneficiary. So you now want access to your own trust. And because there is no chief trustee anymore, they now have to surrender you now have to surrender those USIC numbers. Because I believe that you have conducted trust fraud against my trust. I am only here by special appearance. It's all about the language you use. They're using it left, right, and centre in America. Mm. And if they just say, like they do here, just say, who do you think you are? I'm sovereign in this court. You're here as a public servant, yes. Watch his face. He now knows you've trapped him. What delegated powers are you working from? You're trapping them rather than them trapping you. You don't answer their questions. Are you trying to evade my questions, sir? Are you attempting to usurp my constitutional and common law rights as to the laws of England? So England doesn't exist then in this court, sir, so I'm in the wrong jurisdiction. What jurisdiction are you working from? Because this is a subversion of my constitutional rights. Are you attempting to contract with the trust and attaching that to me? As I am sole chief executive, sole executor, sole beneficiary. Are you now trying to enter my trust through the UCIT codes? What's the judge's face? Don't let up. You don't answer these questions. Do you understand the questions I have put before you, sir? My next question will not be a nice one if you do not answer my questions. Because I believe that you now are ignoring the laws of the land of England. Therefore, I am now going to charge you with misconduct in public office. Treason Act, bump, 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 and have it on a piece of paper. And not only that, but now I'm going to charge the clerk of the court for fraud by omission, fraud and deception, of betrayal of a true office, which is the clerk of the court of the realm of England, in an extortion court, as stated by the English law, Halsby's Law Book, 2011, maxim of law. An everyday man that goes to work should know his job. Do you know your job, sir or madam? Cannot stand in two jurisdictions. Are we studying common law, equity law? You've just given the precedents. Just reel them off. Watch her put her head down. She'll buzz for them security guards. Turn on. Do not move. You move, you're in the act of treason. I will want these arresting in 2 minutes. And they are to be taken directly to the cells. Walk your paperwork across. These are pre-action protocols. You are now served. We will be indicting you for the criminal offences of subverting my constitutional rights, treason, subverting my constitutional and common law rights, inalienable rights, treason felony, uttering, by bringing me, the woman of substance, the creditor, to a debtor's court in the act of praemunire, 1392, still in force. I am in a foreign state court out of my correct jurisdiction as sovereign and the grantor of authority to Parliament. Because who allows Parliament to run? We do.
We do, yeah.
Where do they get their delegated powers from? Parliament. Because they're all Parliament, office, non-ministerial, they're all part of the same department. Different departments of the same corporation. The police, different department. The judges, different department. CPS, I've just shown you it, different department. They're all agency executives. Not running under the correct jurisdiction. They're not in public office. So therefore, that's misconduct in public office by claiming to be something that they are not. In literally, and it states it in Halsby's Law Book, 2011, look it up. People, stop being lazy. Look it up. It states. Take it in with you. There you go. That's straight out of Halsby's Law Book, sir. Do you dispute the law of England? Therefore, you brought me to a foreign state court, which is treason under the Treason Act.
Yeah.
Praemunire under Praemunire Act 1392. Treason Felony Act by subverting my constitutional rights, by trying to remove my alienable rights under common law, and removing the hierarchy of my laws and rights against statutes. Because everything, look what Lord Coates says. Look what the Constitution says, the Bill of Rights says. Therefore, all acts of Parliament are now void from 1973.
Okay. Just conscious of the time. This has obviously gone on
Yeah.
quite a
A
bit.
lot longer than I thought it was going to go.
So I thank you for sharing all of that. As ever, I mean, as a font of much knowledge, and it seems like, and I know,
Robin,
hey,
Robin,
I've said it so many times. I'm going to have to try and edit it. Robin is very good at retaining this knowledge, being able to present this knowledge, and it's not that easy. But he's absolutely right in what he's saying, and I've done it for years. Didn't take the knowledge, didn't want to take the knowledge. Did a little bit here, did a little bit there. I'm probably still a bit like that now, and because I don't really fully understand it. But once you actually immerse yourself in it, and it was like I had a previous guest on, Jacob, who definitely was talking about all the UCC stuff and all the IRS forms, so you can start claiming your money and being paid to do it and all that sort of thing. And it's been a massively popular podcast up to this point. It only went out a couple of days ago. And I've waffled on that long, I've forgotten what I was going to say. But he was very much saying that in America, and you were saying the Americans are ahead of us, that their courts are open courts. So you've got people like him going in and stating this, that, and the other. And so the people behind that are waiting to be called up for their hearings are getting this knowledge, right? And so for some of those people, they'll take it and run with it. But for some people, they'll be like, oh, what? You know, and and a lot of people are like that. I don't understand it. I don't want to. But he said as well, he can't stand reading, but he's forced himself to just sit there and go through everything and do the courses and do the content and get the knowledge. And that's why I know damn well, Robin, that I've shied away from this, because I don't understand it enough to stand there with confidence in front of that judge to say what you say to them.
Yeah, but like I told everybody else, you don't go in blind. Take the script, stick to the script, and be polite. And then when it starts to he tries to become, you just look at him and go, okay, you want to go this way then, Judge, do you? Okay, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Walk round from your desk, you're now served. I'm now serving you pre-protocol action to charge you with misconduct in public office. I don't believe you're in public office. And I'm also going to charge you with treason. It's all in there. That's included. And have it, and just get yourself a copy. Charge it as well. And this is for all the court staff. There is the document from Lord Kilmore. You have brought me to a foreign court. I am here by special appearance only. I have not consented to this court. I have not given you a signed contract. You have manipulated this court in an act of criminal enterprise called extortion. And you have two little bits that you go off. So once you've done your first bit and he gets annoyed and starts shouting, once you do your second bit, look who then looks very tired and sheepish. Because once you put the evidence together, and then what you state is, do you understand the law as I have read it to you? Because once he now admits that he understands you, what have you just done to him? You've turned the tables.
Yeah. He's not.
And you don't stop. Do you understand the processes of law that are now before you, Mr. whatever his name is, or Mrs.? So you drop the judge's title. You're not a judge anymore. You are now suspended as to the misconduct in public office. Decrees. You in this colourable court have now created and caused public outrage. Section 26.
Okay. Okay.
And it's only a matter of just reading little bits up and sticking to what you know and giving them the evidence. Let the evidence speak for you. You don't need to speak. Just ask the questions, but go in with the right questions.
Yeah, it's about having the right questions. It's about having the confidence. It's about having the right mindset that you truly believe you're sovereign. If any of those fall down, you'll end up succumbing to this authority that they, you know,
They
protrude.
believe they have. They
Exactly. Yeah.
entrap you. They literally, it is entrapment. But once you start stating, are you attempting to subvert my constitutional rights? Are you attempting to relieve me of my amiable rights? You do realise that's treason, don't you, sir? It's the way that you put it in the arrogance that you put it with, but the politeness.
Yeah.
And you don't deviate. Do you understand the law, sir? Are you running under the foreign state of order of presumptions, order of precedence, which is a compelled performance of a presumption of obligation? Well, I'm not here as that nonsense because I'm not fictional. Maximum law states this. UCC codes states this. Because we are communicating, I'm alive. I'm not a dead entity. Do you believe that I am dead, lost overseas, as to the Sestav Trust? Well, I now claim my Sestav Trust because we are in the act of communication. What don't the dead do? Communicate.
Yeah.
And it states it in UCCs.
Unless you're a medium, let's not get into that. But okay, well let's wrap it up there because
Yep.
it's going on. So, are you open for people to contact you at the moment or not?
I'll come down and do talks and stuff like that. But just at the minute, I've got that many cases on.
Yeah.
I'm literally buried under the weight. You know this, Mel.
Yeah, yeah.
We are winning because we are literally sticking them with their own rules and the fact that they breached constitutional law. Are they now trying to claim, and this is what we're putting in, and we put him in the pre-action protocols and demanding from the CPS we want misconduct in public office forms, that we are now going to bring an indictment. Yeah?
Yeah.
Because that's the way to do them. And you can't stop at these buggers. There's a fabulous thing, and I'll send you it in a bit, that's just come out. Another great podcaster, an independent news journalist, who's just come out and now shown that the High Court judges are in communication using barristers to run between them and deny justice.
And this is High Court judges who we think are supposed to be decent judges.
Yep.
Oh, for God's sake.
He's just got them. Bang to rights. Absolute bang to rights in their own wording. And the Royal Courts of Justice are now trying to cover it up, and they can't. The cat is out the bag. No judge is a judge. They're not running under constitutional law. There's no constitutional monarchy judge. The biggest laugh I've done is ring up and ask the Royal Courts of Justice, are they an administrative court? And they'll go, okay, do you stand under the king? No. Excuse me? No. So, therefore, you're now declaring that you're not a constitutional monarchy court. So you've got to be an administrative court. So where's all our courts gone?
Wow. It just goes on and on and on, you know. Well, I'm not going to start another conversation because we'll be here for another hour, but it just...
Hopefully not.
No, I know. I've got yoga.
I'm knackered.
I've got yoga. But the web just goes so far and wide. And the more you do your research and the more you realize.
Look, the only thing I'm going to end on this, right? We've got to stop doing the research. You've got to get off the frigging hamster wheel, right? You've got to go with one protocol and naff everything else. You've got to stick to your constitutional rights, your common law inalienable rights, and you've got to state them. You've got to go into that court and go, right, caught you. No more, no less, caught you. This is a colourable court, is it not? This is who you are. This is an administrative court, correct? Right, well, now you serve misconduct in public office. You're not running from English law. You're running from UK statutory law, from delegated powers that cannot be delegated. There's, like I said, there's more than one way to trap a goose.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's just about getting your mindset and the correct right questions.
Yeah.
You can walk. We've had a lad walk in the other day, walked straight in over council tax, and he went, "Caught you. You served. You served. You served. I'm now charging with treason." They literally everyone ran out of the court, and I mean everyone. The council, the clerk, the judge. They ran out of the court. They didn't know what to do, and he sat there for an hour. The security guards didn't even come in, and they're all going, "What the hell's going on?"
Where was that? Can you tell us?
No.
All right.
Because we're doing a thing on that at the minute. Luckily, one of the lads, we're seeing how the cameras come out on it.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
That'll be good. Okay. Cool. Yep. Right. Well, thank you, Mr. Hood. You've been a legend as always, and I know. Well, the viewers and listeners are going to get a massive value out of this, and I will. You know, going forwards, I know you're doing talks and stuff. I can always mention that on some up and coming podcasts to give the, you know, I do have now quite some regular viewers, so give them the heads. To give them the heads.
Well, you know that we're trying to do one in March. We want a big one up in March doing between yourselves and Northampton groups. I want to bring everybody together. And it's not for the faint-hearted, isn't this? It's for the people that seriously want to get out, that are serious about literally backing each other up. Because without backing your neighbour up, who's got the trouble today, why should he back you up tomorrow when you've got the trouble? Right? We've got to learn. We've got to bring the community back together. And we've got to show them that we are more united now than ever before. We're not interested in what they're doing. Yeah. We're finished. We're finished doing with them. 3.1 million told Keir Starmer to get out of office, and they ignored it because they're not under constitutional law. They're under corporate law.
Yeah, and I think just to finish, and we will finish now, I promise. I had a farmer on. I did an interview with a farmer this morning, raw milk predominantly. And he made a very good point because he was asleep, and then because you know, he was trying to make people. His purpose is to make people healthier through clean raw milk, right? Which is amazing, and he's done a lot of good for a lot of people. And he was saying, if you invest, and he was asleep a few years ago, but because the people that were coming to him wanting the raw milk are awake and spiritual and all that sort of stuff. They educated him, and it wasn't long before he started to realize the truth of what was going on. And so if you can do that and go and invest in your local farmers and get to know them and have those conversations and all the rest of it, because he was saying he has to, you know, there are villagers relying on him. If the shit hits the fan and all of a sudden we've got no food, he's got his people that help him and he helps them. They're going to help each other in those times. And this is exactly what you're saying. So the more that we can connect on a local level and support each other, not just in this, but in the farms and anything else, then it will grow even faster. And I think
what we've got to realise, I'm glad you mentioned the farmers, right? The farmers are crucial to us, right? And we've got to tell the farmers to get themselves protected by putting themselves in a trust. Now, I'll give you a contact, Mel, if you'll put it up on your website, babe. She'll even come and do a podcast with you, right? Trina, she's absolutely fantastic. I've just done a podcast with Trina, the bowler-hatted farmer, and myself, right? Pushing this dynamic and setting up a trust that we're all members of. So we no longer are outside of, we're all together. And we join up together and do it together and do it together. And come out where we've got meat farmers, veg farmers, this farmer, that farmer. Yeah. We're putting out now to farmers, will you give us an acre to 2 acres of land and we'll rent it off you to grow our own food?
Right.
You know what I mean? We've got to start thinking of tomorrow before they take it. We've got to back our farmers. And it's as simple as that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I
Right, I'm doing one because I'm exhausted.
Yes. Right. Thank you again, sir. It's been a pleasure. And I really appreciate your lengthy time as well today. Thank you.
No worries. Take care, sweetheart. All the best.
You too.